down, set, hut, hut, hut. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm getting ready for Dolphins training camp. If you're pumped, let's go Fins. Go down, hit that big red subscribe button because Rookies Report today, it's about to get a lot of fun here on Dolphins Today. Dolphins Today is presented by Aura, a all-in-one digital safety tool. If you go to aura.com/chatsports, you can get near real-time alerts on your phone. They're going to give you a free trial. That's the link for the free trial right there, aura.com/chatsports. They're going to alert you if you have suspicious charges on your credit card. What's going on? It's your boy Willie Fins here on Dolphins Today, and Rookies Report to training camp today in Miami Gardens. Very exciting. We're going to be talking about the top 5 rookies to watch at Dolphins training camp. We're going to get into 5 guys that I think are going to be a lot of fun to watch throughout training camp and throughout the preseason. Before we get into that list, I want to go over some upcoming dates. So today, Rookies Report. A week from today, Veterans will report. And then Saturday, August 13th, it's coming up, preseason opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the next week, they will play their preseason game, their second preseason game at home against Las Vegas. Last training camp practice is August 25th. Then their last preseason game is against Philadelphia on the 27th. 4 days later, they got to get that 53-man roster in. And then Sunday, September 11th, the season opener against Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. Now, go down to the comments section. Let me know what rookie you are most excited about. Is it Skylar Thompson? Is it Erik Ezukanma? Go down. Let me know what rookie you are most excited about. Let's talk about Tanner Conner, who I said before the Dolphins drafted before the Dolphins went into that draft, I said I want their 7th-round pick to be Tanner Conner. He wasn't their 7th-round pick, but he still ends up on this team as an undrafted free agent, and his story is remarkable. So he was recruited by Idaho State to run track, not football, but he went into the football coach's office and was like, hey, here's my high school tape, and they let him on the team. He ends up being a fantastic football player, arguably an even better runner for the track team. He set the Big Sky record in the 60-meter hurdle, also won the conference title in the 110-meter hurdles. Then Idaho State, being the small school that they are, did not have an NFL Pro Day, so he goes to the University of Washington Pro Day and is the best player at the University of Washington Pro Day. So Tanner Conner, heck of a story. Really excited to have him on the Dolphins. Now, it's interesting because he's listed on the depth chart as a tight end, not as a wide receiver. He played wide receiver at Idaho State. Now, considering the fact that only 3 tight ends are probably going to make this roster, I think he has a better chance to make the team as a wide receiver. Here is the tight end depth chart. So we've included Tanner Conner on this list, kind of as the 6th tight end. So Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe are the 2 locks to make it. I think Adam Shaheen is not a lock. I, in fact, think Hunter Long might make the team over Adam Shaheen. And then you have Carter and Connor, kind of the other 2 guys that we're looking at here. Here's the wide receiver depth chart. So this doesn't include a few UDFAs. So right now, including UDFAs, they have 12 wide receivers on this roster. Only 6 or 7 are going to make the team. But I don't know if Tanner Conner goes out and has a good preseason, maybe he has a chance to make it as a wide receiver. I just think it's very interesting that he's listed on the depth chart as a tight end. But if he has the size and he's built and he can run that fast down the field, then he's going to be a dangerous tight end. So it's going to be fun to watch him in the preseason, fun to watch him throughout training camp. That's why he's on my list. So is Channing Tindall. Of course, he is going to be on my list here. I was extremely excited about him getting selected by the Dolphins. He was actually my mock draft pick for the Dolphins when I did my Dolphins mock draft the eve of the draft. He was my 3rd-round pick for the Fins, which, of course, was their first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, and he could compete for key minutes right away. He's a guy you look at and you're just wowed by his speed, wowed by his explosiveness. He can get to the quarterback and do it a lot. I'm really excited to watch Channing Tindall go to work here. Now, here is the linebacker depth chart. So Channing Tindall, I think, will be a starter by season's end. But you also look at Duke Riley. He has made a lot of strides this offseason. A lot of people think he could compete for a starting job on this team. They re-signed Landon Roberts to a one-year team-friendly deal. I do believe, though, that Roberts is going to lose his spot to either Tindall or Riley. And I'm not taking anything away from Roberts. He had a much better season last year than he did the year prior, but I just think there's better options for the starting inside linebacker job on this team. I think our subscriber, Abark, had a really good point here. He says, I'd be happy if Tindall had a similar role his rookie year as the one he had with Georgia last year. Not a starter, but he felt like one. I think a lot of us forget that Tindall put up those numbers at Georgia, and he wasn't even a starter on that national championship team. He could play a very similar role. That's why I think this is a good take from Abark, one of our loyal subscribers at Dolphins Today. I think he will play a similar role on this Dolphins team to what he did at Georgia last season. Here is what he did at Georgia last season, coming off the bench, if you will. 5.5 sacks per game. I've been doing a lot of basketball vids here at Chat Sports as well. 7.5 tackles for loss, 67 tackles. So I really, really like Tindall. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think he's excited to get back to Miami Gardens because here's what he posted on Twitter this week. Back to it. Got the bags packed, going back to the 315, so 305. It's funny, I went to Syracuse University, and their area code is the 315, Miami the 305. The more you know. Now, the more you know with Aura, because Aura is going to get you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries. So if you have a suspicious charge on your credit card, Aura is going to alert you right away. You don't have to go in and check your bank account every single day to make sure your card hasn't been compromised. That's very difficult for us to do with our busy schedule. So Aura is going to do that for you. You can shop, bank, and work online more safely and privately. You can start that 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. That link going to be in the comments and the description of this video. Let's get into my next rookie here. That is ZaQuandre White, a running back for the Dolphins, someone who is an undrafted free agent out of South Carolina, and someone that a lot of Dolphins fans are really excited about because he impressed at OTAs and minicamp. He really stood out, maybe stood out more so than any other undrafted free agent, and all of a sudden he's someone that we're talking about as maybe a dark horse to make this team is part of that running back room. Here's what FanSided said about ZaQuandre White. White is an interesting prospect for the Miami Dolphins and a player that could shake up the entire running back room. He will be competing for a roster spot at the very least turn heads of another scout from another team that could land him a place on their roster. White has a big battle ahead, but he has the tools and ceiling to be very good. Here's what White did at South Carolina. He wasn't even their primary running back, but the stat that really stands out here is the 6.6 yards per carry. So I feel like White, if he does make this team, which I think is a long shot, but if he does make this team, he can be a really solid third down back, goal line back to have in this offense. And here's why I think it's a pretty slim shot he makes the team, because those first three guys are all locks, right? Your three new running backs are going to make this team in Edmonds, Michel, and Mostert. From there, it's a little bit unpredictable. If Myles Gaskin does not get cut or traded, then I don't think ZaQuandre is going to make the team. So I think he might have to have Gaskin get cut or traded. And then he's got to beat out Salvon Ahmed and Jared Dokes. Dokes spent last season on the practice squad, a 7th-round pick out of Cincinnati in 2021. Now, will White make the team? Type Y for yes or type N for no down in the comments section. Go down, predict it. Let me know if you think ZaQuandre is going to make this team. I think in order for him to make this team, he needs Gaskin to get traded, and then he needs to beat out Ahmed and Dokes. So the chances of all three of those things happening are pretty slim, but you never know, man. I mean, this guy goes out and impresses again at training camp, impresses in preseason games. They might feel comfortable with trading Gaskin at that point, and then by that point, I think his chances might be better than Ahmed's and Dokes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with ZaQuandre. Skylar Thompson, my next rookie to watch at training camp, someone who looked really good in rookie minicamp, and OTAs. And admittedly, as you may remember, I gave this draft pick an F, and Skylar Thompson has looked good. Now, before I issue formal apologies, I need to see how this guy does in the preseason. Here's what he did at Kansas State last season. So he used to be a dual-threat quarterback. Unfortunately, due to injuries, that just didn't happen. He just had 4 rushing yards last season. Not a lot of turnovers, just 4 interceptions, but not a whole lot of touchdowns, just 12 with over 2,000 passing yards. Here's what he did throughout his career at Kansas State running the football. So you see 2018 and 2019, this was one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the Big 12. However, just 2 combined rushing touchdowns the last 2 seasons. I just want to see him be a dual threat again, and I don't know if the injury history is going to allow for that. Now, give Thompson credit. He wasn't able to be a dual threat anymore his last 2 years at Kansas State, but he developed more into a pocket passer, improved his precision passing down the field. But I want to see him as a dual threat again, because if he is, that's going to make him very dangerous. Here's what FanSided said about him back at OTAs. It was rookie 7th-round pick Skylar Thompson, who was the most impressive quarterback on the field. Thompson threw the only 2 touchdown passes of the day, both of which came during an extended 11-on-11 goal line session. That coming from FanSided back at OTAs, talking about Thompson, saying that he might have been the best quarterback on the field that day. So right after rookie minicamp, when Thompson really showed out, the Dolphins cut quarterback Chris Streveler, who they signed a few months ago. So they felt comfortable with Thompson being the 3rd quarterback on this team, perhaps the practice squad quarterback, that they cut Streveler. So not really a surprise that Streveler was cut over, Skylar Thompson. Obviously, Thompson won that 3rd QB job, but they did it pretty quickly, which was a little bit surprising. How excited are you to watch Thompson in training camp? Go down, scale it 1 to 10, down in the comments section. It's the pinned comment on today's video. When ad break comes, go down, let me know what you think. My number 1 rookie to watch at training camp is Erik Ezukanma, 4th-round pick out of Texas Tech. I was a little bit surprised they took him because the Dolphins are still pretty set at the wide receiver position, and Calvin Austin was still on the board. But here's what Erik Ezukanma did at Tech last season. So really solid season, 705 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. His yards after the catch ability is what pops out when you're watching this guy on tape, which makes me really excited about Ezukanma. This pick has really grown on me since they took him back in April in the draft, and a reason for that is because I've realized the fit that he has on this team. This offense is going to be all about yards after the catch, having to find the weapons on this team, letting them kind of do their thing. Erik Ezukanma, very good at eluding tackles, making something out of nothing. That's why I think he's a good fit on this team. And his route running has improved already. If you look at clips from OTAs and minicamp, if you look at some workout videos these posts on Instagram, the route running is improving. That was a concern in the draft, but it appears he's already making strides correcting that weakness. I'm excited to see what this kid can do. Thanks for watching Dolphins Today. Appreciate you all watching and subscribing to the channel. Go down, hit that big red sub button if you haven't already.